You sit down to focus, and within minutes, your mind drifts. You check your phone. You open another tab. You scroll for a second that turns into 10 minutes. You come back, try again, and the same thing happens. And at some point, you start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Because you used to be able to focus. You used to finish things. But now, even simple tasks feel harder than they should. Here's the truth. Your focus didn't just disappear. It was trained out of you, slowly, repeatedly. And if you don't understand why it's happening, you'll keep blaming yourself instead of fixing the real problem. So let's get straight into it. Every time you check your phone, scroll social media, watch short videos, or switch tasks, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine. It feels good. It's fast. It's easy. And over time, your brain starts craving that constant stimulation. The problem is, real work doesn't give you instant rewards. It's slow. It's effort. It's sometimes boring. So your brain compares the two. Easy dopamine versus delayed reward. And it chooses the easy one. That's why you open your phone without thinking. That's why you keep switching tasks. Your brain has been trained to chase stimulation, not focus. And the more you feed that habit, the harder it becomes to stay on one thing. The fix is simple, but not easy. You have to reduce constant stimulation. That means fewer distractions, fewer quick hits, fewer interruptions. When your brain gets used to less, focus becomes easier again. Because now, your work is not competing with constant dopamine. Most people think multitasking is productive. It feels efficient. You're doing multiple things at once. But in reality, you're not multitasking. You're task switching. And every time you switch, your brain loses focus. You check a message. You go back to work. You check a notification. You open another tab. Each switch breaks your concentration. And when this becomes a habit, your brain stops going deep. It stays shallow. Deep focus requires time. It requires staying on one thing long enough for your brain to fully engage. But if you interrupt that process every few minutes, you never reach that state. That's why you feel like you're working all day, but getting nothing done. The fix is to train your brain to stay on one task. Set a timer. Remove distractions. Work on one thing without switching, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is your brain adjusting back to focus. Look around you. Your phone is next to you. Notifications are on. Tabs are open. Messages are waiting. Everything around you is designed to pull your attention away. Focus is not just mental, it's environmental. If your environment is full of distractions, your brain will respond to them. Even if you try to ignore them, part of your attention is still being pulled. That's why willpower alone doesn't work. You can't fight distractions all day. You have to remove them. Put your phone away. Turn off notifications. Close unnecessary tabs. Create a space where your only option is to focus. When distractions are not available, your brain stops looking for them, and focus becomes easier. Your brain is not designed to handle constant input all day, but that's exactly what most people do. You wake up and check your phone. You consume information. You switch between tasks. You respond to messages. You keep adding more and more to your mental load. By the time you try to focus, your brain is already tired. And when your brain is overloaded, it looks for relief. It looks for something easy, something distracting, something that doesn't require effort. That's why you end up scrolling instead of working. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain is exhausted. The fix is to create space. Take breaks. Step away from screens. Give your mind time to reset. Even a short break without stimulation can restore your ability to focus. Focus is not just about attention. It's about tolerance. The ability to stay with something even when it's boring, difficult, or slow. But most people avoid discomfort. The moment something feels hard, they switch. They check their phone. They distract themselves. And over time, their tolerance for discomfort drops. So now, even a few minutes of focused work feels uncomfortable, and your brain wants to escape. This is why focus feels harder than it used to. Not because you can't do it, but because you're not used to the feeling anymore. The fix is to rebuild that tolerance. Stay with the task even when it feels boring, even when you feel the urge to quit. Don't switch immediately. Sit with it. At first, it will feel uncomfortable, but that's the process. Over time, your tolerance increases, and focus becomes natural again. When everything feels important, nothing gets done. You sit down to work, but your mind is scattered. You don't know what to focus on first, so you jump between tasks, hoping something sticks. But without clear priorities, your brain has no direction. And without direction, it looks for easier alternatives. Clarity creates focus. When you know exactly what you need to do, your brain can lock in. But when things are vague, it resists. That's why you need to decide before you start. One task, one goal, one focus. Not 10 things at once. The clearer the target, the easier it is to stay on track. And here's the part most people don't realize. Your inability to focus is not random. It's trained. Every distraction you follow, every time you switch tasks, every time you choose easy over effort, you reinforce the habit of distraction. And over time, that becomes your default. But the opposite is also true. Every time you stay focused, every time you resist the urge to switch, every time you sit with discomfort, you train your brain to concentrate again. Focus is a skill. And like any skill, it gets stronger with practice. You don't need more motivation. You don't need a perfect system. You need fewer distractions, clearer priorities, and the willingness to stay with something longer than is comfortable. Start small. Remove one distraction. Focus on one task. Stay with it a little longer than you want to. Then do it again tomorrow. Your focus didn't disappear overnight, and it won't come back overnight. But if you train it consistently, it will come back. And when it does, everything becomes easier. Because focus is not just about getting things done, it's about taking control of your attention. And your attention controls your life.